The Ghost Festival's fiery omen, a sign of mass deaths. On September 5, 2025, coinciding with the Hungry Ghost Festival, China's streets turned into seas of fire as citizens burned joss paper to honor the deceased. This year, the scale was unprecedented, with thick smoke blanketing cities from Beijing to Hainan, sparking widespread concern. Rooted in ancient tradition, burning paper symbolizes sending money and goods to the afterlife, a gesture of filial piety. But the volume of paper burned this year doubled compared to previous years, reflecting a dark reality, a surge in deaths linked to pandemics and related diseases. A Beijing resident remarked, "The ashes on the streets tell you how many have passed." China's official population of 1.4 billion may have plummeted to half that number, with hundreds of millions lost to COVID-19 and its variants. Yet, the CCP conceals the truth, forcing families to hold secret funerals and banning public rituals. Even the skies seem to echo the unrest. On September 3rd, in Hainan and Shanxi, clouds shifted eerily from deep green to blood red, then ashen white, a phenomenon that went viral online, seen by many as an ominous sign. The unending pandemic, COVID-19 and sudden deaths. Among the young, COVID-19 has never truly left China. Data from the Center for Disease Control shows the country leading globally in infections for 4 consecutive months. Crematoriums are overwhelmed with the bodies of young people born in the 1980s and 1990s, victims of sudden deaths from heart attacks or strokes. A funeral industry blogger shared a heartbreaking video. Morning shifts handle sudden deaths. Evening shifts are for those exhausted by stress. Death is no longer news. It's a steady stream of young people being cremated. Netizens recount tragedies. One Hubei resident lost 30 classmates in 5 years. Another in Jiangxi saw 6 young people die this year alone. Doctors like Zhang Kaihui warn, heart attacks and strokes are striking people in their 20s and 30s. Many blame vaccines, with WeChat posts describing explosive side effects after 3 mandatory doses. The CCP suppresses information, but cases like pediatrician Yubo, 50, and singer Pu Jiang, 35, dying suddenly fuel suspicions of a hidden medical catastrophe. Cancer crisis. 6 diagnosed. Every minute, hospitals overwhelmed. Cancer has become China's new epidemic, with 6 people diagnosed every minute and 1 to 2 dying from stomach cancer in the same time frame. Oncology hospitals from Shanghai to Harbin are overflowing, their hallways turned into waiting zones for the terminally ill. Stomach cancer rates among those aged 19 to 35 have doubled compared to 30 years ago, accounting for 6 to 11% of cases. The story of Zhang Jingjing, a 20-year-old student who died of late-stage stomach cancer, is a heartbreaking example. Dr. Hang Dandan, 35, treated thousands for cancer, but succumbed to lymphoma herself. Netizens lament, "Cancer is everywhere. Our parents live to 80 or 90, but we're dying at 40 or 50. Causes? COVID-19, vaccines, and, crucially, poor food safety. The CCP acknowledges issues through state media, but hides the true scale, leaving citizens desperate for justice on heavily censored social platforms. Food safety. Scandals. What's left to eat? From melamine-tainted milk powder resurfacing to blood-soaked bandages in rice dumplings, rotten meat in school cafeterias, and cooking oil mixed with kerosene, food safety scandals have left Chinese citizens asking, "What's left to eat?" In Bozhou, health-protecting tea bags were found to contain only leaf scraps and waste, sold at 30 times their cost. In Kunming, students suffered diarrhea from spoiled meat, yet penalties were mere fines. Industry observer Lao Chao commented, "This isn't an isolated incident. It's a systemic failure. Fruit juice with cockroaches, antibiotic-laden hairy crabs, and pesticide-drenched leaks are commonplace. Why? Officials prioritize GDP, shielding violators to sustain growth. CCP leaders enjoy an exclusive supply chain, organic vegetables and premium meat from private farms, while ordinary citizens poison each other with tainted food." Lao Wang warns, "A cancer explosion with hundreds of millions of cases is coming. People turn to local produce for safety, but widespread pollution makes this a pipe dream." Population collapse. From 1.4 billion to half, a stolen future. China's population is shrinking at a record pace, with 9.54 million births in 2024 against 10.93 million deaths. Projections for 2025 are bleaker, 7.3 to 7.8 million births. This creates a vicious cycle. Schools close due to low enrollment, further depressing birth rates. Between 2023 and 2024, over 5,600 primary schools and 14,800 kindergartens shut down. In 2025, some 140,000 rural schools are expected to vanish. In Guangdong and Yunnan, left-behind children protest, chanting, "We want to go to school." They travel dozens of kilometers to distant schools, facing inequality and alarming rates of sexual abuse. Anonymous expert Wang Xi reveals, the dependency ratio is 1.1, meaning almost no one can support themselves. Young people avoid marriage due to economic pressures, embracing materialism under harsh rule. The CCP masks the crisis with falsified data, but the reality is a generation robbed of its future. School closures, abandoned children, and deepening social inequality. In southern provinces like Guangdong, Yunnan, and Guizhou, children gather outside shuttered schools, shouting, "We want to go to school!" The closure of 14 rural primary schools forces children to travel impractical distances. Activist Lei Zhen reveals, left-behind children make up 80% of rural students, with high abuse rates but no official data. The three northeastern provinces closed over 6,000 schools in the past decade. Netizens complain, "We rent apartments just so our kids can attend school," causing teacher unemployment. Children of officials, like Yang Landing, live luxuriously abroad in international schools, while ordinary citizens struggle for basic education. This isn't just an education crisis. It's social injustice perpetuated by the CCP, which conceals the truth to protect its elite. Economic collapse, debt, unemployment, and shattered prosperity. Once an economic juggernaut, China now drowns in massive debt, rampant unemployment, and a shattered dream of prosperity. Over 600 million people live on less than $2 a day, with Premier Li Qiang admitting that over half the population earns under 1,000 yuan monthly. The real estate sector has collapsed, manufacturing is stagnant, and jobs in construction and industry have plummeted by 80%. Recent graduates accept internships paying 800 yuan, if paid at all. The CCP hides behind social harmony propaganda, but the reality is a new underclass, teachers sleeping under bridges, engineers scavenging in bins. In Shenzhen and Beijing, tent cities emerge, and elderly people beg on their knees. A Hong Kong journalist observes, "Poverty here is worse than in Cambodia." Homelessness and hunger, youth starving, workers protesting. In Chongqing, young people rummage through trash at night. In Hubei, workers protest over 5 months of unpaid wages. "We built the future. Why are we left with nothing?" one worker shouted. In Wuhan, the homeless are evicted from train stations. In Hangzhou, delivery drivers weep over fines for eating roadside noodles. Social media overflows with cries, "I'll do anything for food." Families cram into apartments without electricity or water, cooking weeds to survive. Municipal budgets are depleted, and officials order, "Hide it, don't help." This is social injustice under CCP rule, where poverty has become the norm. Corruption and vanity projects. A $18 million rusty mountain elevator. China's obsession with grandiose projects often fuels waste and corruption. The Sky Ladder in Lingshan, Jiangxi, cost $18 million for a 700-meter elevator, but was suspended after a week due to public backlash. Funded by special bonds and ballooning public debt, it incurs millions in annual maintenance. Netizens mock, officials wanted a view without climbing or just embezzled the funds. The project caused environmental damage and soil erosion, yet the CCP touts it as tourism innovation. This exemplifies growth at all costs. Abandoned overpasses, ghost train stations, all driven by GDP-based evaluations, burdening future generations with debt. Covering up secrets. CCP suppresses freedom, destroys tradition. The CCP hides everything: pandemic deaths, food scandals, school closures. They ban Joss paper burning, stationing guards to block rituals and conceal the high death toll. Independent investigations are crushed, and social media is censored. Leaders enjoy privileges, clean food, elite healthcare, even organ transplants, while citizens rage, "When will the CCP collapse so we can live normally?" Strange phenomena like shifting sky colors are seen as symbols of political unrest. What future for China? China stands on the brink of catastrophe: mass deaths, widespread poverty, and rampant corruption, all veiled by the CCP. Citizens fight alone, from children's protests to online outcries. Lao Chao urges, "Dismantle the privilege system and end dictatorship for democracy." Your thoughts matter. Share them. We'll keep exposing the hidden truths. Subscribe for updates.